Hey everyone, my name is Professor Romero, and the presentation I'm going to be giving this time is a basic introduction to the class that you are taking, which is either Political Science 101 or 102. Most of you are asking, why am I here? And for most of you, it's a requirement. And for some of you, maybe most of you, you hate politics. Why do Americans hate politics? Politics brings to mind conflict, fights, and people naturally don't want to deal with conflict. The most basic definition of politics is who gets what, when, and how. And because this involves power and struggles over power, most Americans don't want to pay attention. In this class, what I'd like to point out today is that politics, as you think of politics, whatever that may be, whether it's talk radio or people on television screaming at one another, politics don't actually matter in this class. And I'm not your quote-unquote liberal humanities professor. And I'm getting this from the typical stereotype of a professor that's very, very liberal and tries to indoctrinate college students into seeing the world, especially of politics, their way. So I'm not going to lie to you, I definitely have political values. I definitely have a position on a variety of issues, and I even know who I'm going to vote for in the upcoming presidential election. But my argument today is that this actually doesn't matter. There are no values or no agenda that I'm actually going to be trying to persuade you to believe in this class. In fact, the goal of political science is to take the emotion and the morality out of discussions of politics. So why take political science? Political science has something really different to offer you than Fox News or MSNBC, for example. So the main premise of political science that's worth taking note of before you even get started with this class is that we rely upon facts or empirical evidence. What does that mean? Political scientists study human behavior and political institutions like Congress or the President or even the Supreme Court by looking for data. While there's plenty of disagreement about this, the majority of political scientists see themselves as practicing the scientific method, and they see the discipline as a genuine science. So where are the politics in political science? Why are these terms inextricable? That's because you're probably confusing politics or political science with theory, philosophy, and values. A political philosophy or a theory is a vision of how the world should be. It's normative, based on somebody's beliefs about what the good society is like, or what the cause of justice really means. And obviously, different people have different views of justice. And we'll be talking about the differences in philosophy between what you probably have heard of as the left and the right over the course of this class. Left or right, liberal or conservative, a basic primer. This is a lecture that would take up hours of your time. But let's begin by showing the basic political spectrum. which you can see here is labeled Marxist to reactionary. This is actually not my own, but it's one version showing Marxism on the left and somebody that's reactionary or on the right. I'll talk about in a future lecture what this means. So the last point I want to make is why politics matters and why you have to pay attention. You can't escape politics. I'd argue that there's not a single component of your average day that's not in some way affected by politics. So for example, if you want to say that I don't care about politics or my vote doesn't matter, I suggest that you start reviewing some of the connections between everyday life and politics. Tuition is probably a concern of all of you since you're taking a college class, and tuition costs and are impacted by the decisions made predominantly by state actors. But there's many others. The food you eat is regulated by the government. Without government, it's highly likely that your food could be contaminated. Or if there's a food contamination scare, as there have been many, it's the government and politics that tries to fix this situation. So that's about it for now. That's hard.